On high heat in the middle of the street. Welcome to the latest episode of Revive Hi-Fi Canada, where we try to look at different speakers, amps, and DACs and other audio equipment that you may find used and new in your area, we like to have a good discussion here on our channel to bring interest to this hobby that we certainly love and have enjoyed over several years. Today we are very happy and excited to have a Canadian company, Paradigm, featured, and the speaker that we're featuring is the Paradigm Monitor SE Atom. This is a keeper series, so this is a speaker that I particularly appreciate. There are some, of course, there's no speaker here is perfect, but there are quite a lot of points that I'd like to make here in this discussion. First, we'll talk a little bit about the build quality. The build quality on the Paradigm Monitor SE Atom is pretty nice. It is, considering the price point, it does have a pretty nice vinyl wrap on it. It doesn't feel low end in terms of for the money, of course. It is a vinyl wrap speaker. It is not a bad piece of equipment. I have the back view on one of them. It has these of course are rear ported speakers. They're pretty well braced. I'm going to walk and take off the grills on one of them in this video, so I'll just come around and you will see that they have pretty nice drivers. So in the video you can see that the speakers have extremely nice drivers. Considering we're in this particular price point, the grill is quite solidly made. It's not magnetically attached, which is something I really love to see on speakers when they have magnetic grills. They don't have magnetically attached grills, but that being said, the grills are quite solidly made. I was quite impressed with the thickness of the grills, how nicely they fit onto the onto the cabinet. They don't just have 4 pinholes, as you can see on the front, they have 6. So they fit on pretty nicely, and I actually like the way the grills are tapered off on the bottom. They make for a very pretty look on these speakers. There you can see that the Paradigm logo is both with and without the grills, and what is also evident is that these are not, like, for the price of speaker, and I keep saying for the price because I think these are at the lower end of Paradigm, if not the lowest. And Paradigm is a great company for speakers. These are extremely impressive. So let me give some history here. So I've had the Paradigm Titan way back, one of the first speakers I had that I refoamed. Someone gave them to me because they sounded funny, but I went and took them home and refoamed them, and they sounded great. Those I liked. They had the old school Vifa tweeters on them, and they sounded extremely soft and well put together there. Of course, a very simple speaker, and they had kind of I would consider a kind of toilet roll, thickened toilet roll port on the back. So of course the outside of the port had a hole, but it was, if you put your hand in there, it was a hardened toilet roll, so it was quite interesting. And so then I had also the very large Paradigm Phantoms, which were still considered a bookshelf, but this bookshelf was like 2 feet tall, and again non-removable grills compared to the same as the Titan. And it had really good reviews, that Phantom, but I didn't really appreciate it that much. I liked the Titan for the size. I appreciated that speaker. I then got Paradigm mini monitors. I believe they were V2. Those are, for the size, it's like a 13-inch tall speaker. They had bass galore, and that's one thing that Paradigm is really good at, is getting bass out of small speakers. I've noticed they're very good at that. But there was just something boomy about those. They never really agreed with me. Not many Paradigm speakers agreed with me. And then I got, on the channel here, we have the Paradigm Atom monitor, I believe V6 or V5. I can't remember what it was. Those are pretty good, but they're really small. Like they're maybe 2 inches shorter than these. These I think are almost 13 inches, 12.5 inches tall. Those are, just over 10 inches tall. So these are quite a bit bigger. They have the same size bass driver, just over 5-inch bass driver. You can see that it's actually, the outline of the bass driver is large, but the bass driver itself is not particularly large. But that doesn't take away from the bass punch on these, and we'll talk more about that later. What I like about the bass driver is that it has an inverted surround inside. So like the surround on the woofer it's concave, so you can actually put your finger in there and feel that there's no woofer foam roll. Instead, the roll is facing inside, and this is not foam, it's a rubber surround, but they did it inverted, which is really nice. I like the look. It's got an interesting aluminum tweeter, which is unlike some of the previous Paradigms that I've reviewed, although the Atom monitor V6 or V5 had that, had an aluminum tweeter, but this is quite a different speaker indeed for Paradigm, I would say. This is has a lot of different technologies that I didn't see on previous Paradigm speakers. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. It has a impedance of 8 ohms. It's got a sensitivity of 89 dB, so extremely easy to drive, these speakers. I use them at my desktop, and they do very well for that. I have a little bit of EQ, and I'll talk more about that later. They have a frequency response rated from 61 Hertz to 21 kilohertz, but I would say they had something called the low frequency extension. I believe that's a -6 dB. Don't quote me on that point, and that goes down to 45 Hertz. It says a frequency response 30 degrees off axis, 55 to 17 kilohertz. I would say these can hit some pretty heavy bass, and we'll talk more about that. Let's continue with the build. It's got the low frequency driver or the mid bass frequency driver. It's 5.5-inch mineral filled polypropylene cone. I like polypropylene cone. The Wharfdale Diamond 12.1 has a polypropylene, a mineral filled type of polypropylene cone as well, I believe. It's kind of similar style, and I really appreciate polypropylene. I know that PSB does a really nice job on their Century line from way back, and they had a polypropylene cone as well on the PSB 300s, a speaker that I wish I never got rid of. I'm still looking for a pair. I love the PSB Century 300s. They sound really nice. It has a high frequency driver. The tweeter is what is called, it's a 1-inch X-PAL dome ferrofluid damped cooled perforated phase aligning tweeter lens. So first you have the dome tweeter, right? And then what happens is you also have the lens that they've put on top of the tweeter, and it's very interesting. It's like it's got a solid black in the middle, and then it's got kind of these little perforations all the way around the black. And I believe that lens is supposed to help with dispersion of the sound. And I would consider that it does do a pretty good job. What it does is what they say on their website, the perforated phase aligning PPA lens. This exclusive design acts as a refined phase plug, blocking a wide range of out-of-phase frequency, which increases the smooths the output without coloring the sound. It looks really cool, I have to say. It is very nice. I mean, these are really nice. They do have, of course, their limitations, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. I truly enjoy listening to these at my desktop. They're very good. I've used them with my topping. I have a Class T amp, a little T amp topping TP22, I think, or TP21. I can't remember what it's called, but it's not a very high powered amp, and it does a great job using in concert with my DAC. We'll go to the bass. Let's talk about the bass. I would say the bass is really impressive for the size of the speaker. Again, I say that about a lot of these smaller bookshelf speakers, but this doesn't lose much bass at all. I would say it's been pretty impressive. I had this connected to in my other room where I typically store use my Monitor Audio Silver 107G, and these are half the size, but they feel like they still have the similar type of bass punch. So again, Paradigm with their impressive bass, it comes through again here. It has also mid-range. I would say mid-range is where in previous Paradigm speakers that I felt wanting, and I didn't feel it didn't feel as nice with voices as I've had with previous previous Paradigms didn't feel as nice as voices as this Monitor SE Atom. So they've improved the mid-range. I would say it's, at least in my opinion, the mid-range sounds is quite improved over some of the previous offerings where I felt that probably why I didn't appreciate them as much was the mid-range, and this is of course my ears talking. The mid-range is improved in my opinion on this speaker. The highs are somewhere. The tweeter is quite a superstar here. The tweeter, it really comes through with details. It like I hear everything, and it is extremely well done, I would say, the tweeter. The only thing is that it depends on the recording, I would say, and the amp that you're using. But in some cases, this tweeter, at least in my view, can be a little bit, I wouldn't say shrill, I would say it gets to the point where it's almost shrill. and that's so it can sound slightly bright depending on the recording and the amp. So here I'm using the Yamaha R-S700, and I think it's excellent combination. I haven't seen a speaker, the RS700 doesn't drive well. It's got lots of power, but it's also got a very neutral sound signature, and it seems to fit these speakers very well. So that's a very good match, I would say. And I will be trying these speakers with Marantz PM6006 in the next few episodes, where we're going to talk about that amp. But for the Yamaha, that's a nice combination. So you definitely want an amp that leans warm to neutral for the paradigms, to kind of counteract a little bit of what I would call a slight brightness on some recordings. So keep that in mind. I think I appreciate it actually. I think it helps me to hear everything in the song. It's just extremely bright. And as far as imaging goes, it does an excellent job. I mean, instruments are really clear, separated. Everything comes through. I guess clear is the right word. It's loud and clear. These speakers are, I would say, they really bring the music to your ears, and they don't sound unnatural. They sound very natural. The sound stage for this size of speaker is pretty big, and I would say very impressive. And one thing they sort of remind me of a little bit, I think because of their tweeter or whatever it is, I'm not sure, but they remind me a lot of my KEF Q150s, except these are slightly brighter sounding than those. That they do remind me a lot of my KEF Q150s, and I'm not sure, that's at least just subjectively, that's what I feel like they do. I think it's the level of bass that both those speakers can put out is very impressive. Yeah, everything, soundstage, imaging, bass, mid-range, highs. Yeah, I would say I love these speakers, and I listen to them all the time. The only caveat being is that I think you need to be careful, at least in my opinion, in my experience, in the rooms that I use these in, with amp matching. And also you don't want too much reflection in the room. I mean, this room is full of reflections, so you probably don't, it doesn't do bad in this room at all, but they do better in my computer office for sure. And of course, when they're sitting at my desktop on two stands beside my desktop, they certainly bring out details, gobs and gobs of detail. So that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say. I would consider these a very nice addition to my speaker collection. I love these. And if you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section. I love these, and I love talking about them. I love talking about all of these speakers and amps and everything we have on this channel. So thank you again very much for watching, and see you again next time on Revive Hi-Fi Canada. Bye now.